Hi there, I'm Renee,
And I'm Paloma.
and we're with Rock Your Yoga Retreat, and we're super excited. We're in the Grow Your Yoga Business Challenge for 2017, and today is day 3 of the challenge, and we've been having a lot of fun so far. And the first day, we focused on reflecting on what's been working and what hasn't in our yoga business in 2016, and then we moved into getting really clear on our purpose, our why, and who we feel most called to serve. And today we're going to have some fun by creating some intentional yoga offerings in the new year.
Yes, and the cool thing about going through a challenge like this with other people is that you're setting these intentions alongside others. So there's so much power and energy, even if you're not seeing other people that are part of this challenge. There's a huge group of people that are, and they're all working on the assignments that we're giving you guys through your through email.
It's a
And
collective energy, and you know this as
Right.
as yoga teachers. There's a collective energy when we do things together.
And we wanted to set the stage sitting in front of the tree because that is such a it's the symbol of we're going into January 2017. It's a symbol of we're at the end of this year and we're going into the next. And it's such a great opportunity. Although we're all busy, oh my gosh, we're all busy running around trying to, figure out how to do the holidays. But at the same time, it's such a great opportunity to sit down, take some time, schedule it out, and sit down and do all these assignments or plan your year in advance so that you know how to go into January and you feel confident and good about it. Good about
Exactly.
like that good feeling in your stomach of I know what I'm going to do for 2017, or I have an idea of I have a roadmap of how I'm going to go about going into 2017.
Because I am guilty of waiting till January 31st at 5 p.m. or maybe, you know, I'm sorry, January. That was December 31st or maybe even January 1st, and thinking, okay, I'm going to sit down and write my intentions. And then there's just so much going on. It gets a little bit jumbled. And
Well, we don't even do it at all.
Oh,
We
yeah.
literally just go into the new year thinking, man, I wanted to get to planning, but I didn't. And I guess I'm just going to figure out how to do things as I go. The power of knowing what is ahead of you is huge. And the power of setting those intentions month by month as you go about your year in the beginning just sets the stage of where you want to be at the end of the next year. So it's all about envisioning where you want to be a year from now and tracing back the steps month by month of what you need to do to get there, right?
Exactly.
And so all the assignment we have for day 3 is all about doing that, looking back at 2016, taking all that reflection into 2017, figuring out what you want for your business, for your life, what lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
And taking that into your planning process, and also figuring out who your ideal student is and how you want to serve them best and what it is that they need from you. So all these
Exactly.
elements play a role in your planning process, right? And so we wanted to give you guys some examples.
So if you are, as you sit down, and we encourage you to brainstorm. You don't want to edit while you're doing this. Like brain dump, get it all out, and then you can go back and reassess. But after you get all your ideas out for all the offerings that you want to create, your workshops, your retreats, your maybe even blog posts or podcasts if you're into that. Well, all of your offerings, get it all out, your themes, how you want to go about it, and then take a step back and look at it. Does this align with your bigger purpose?
Yep.
Does this align with your why for the new year? Like really your intention of how you want to be of service. And then look at it. Does it align with your ideal students? Because if you're creating these amazing offerings, but it's not really what your students want, well, then you'll be in trouble. So after you map out all of your ideas, go back, look at them. Does it align with your why? Does it align with your students? And then reassess. So a couple of examples that we were thinking of. If your ideal student is beginners and you really want to focus on beginners workshops and helping beginners get into their yoga practice, but you also have the idea of doing a chakra series, go back and think about it. Now, do these two
Align.
Because, well, to me, a lot of beginners might think of chakra series as kind of out there. It's kind of woo-woo, like what is that?
Just not familiar with it.
Less familiar. And so a chakra series might not be the best segue for helping a new student move into their yoga practice. So you just want to look at that. But you also want to look at lifestyle. I mean, if your intention for the new year is to not work weekends anymore, then do you want to set up a bunch of weekend workshops? Or if you decide, you know what, I don't want to work 5 nights a week, do you want to set up a bunch of nightly classes? So really take a step back and look at all that.
And that's why it's so important to know how you want your life to be like.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, then you don't have these checkpoints. So the why, which is the exercise we did yesterday, and something both Renee and I use all the time with our students, is what kind of guides you through everything you do in your business. It's your guiding compass. So when you're going about planning your year, you want to always check back. It's your checkpoint. Like, okay, does this align? Does this align? But you have to have that really clear. So you have to do the work first. You have to do the work of the why first, and really checking back on what it is that you want, fills your cup, what makes you happy, what lifestyle you want, before you go into mapping out what your business would look like, because then you can check back. Same thing with what you talked about, Renee, with your student. That's another checkpoint. Okay, I lined up with my why. Now, does it align with my student and what they want, what they need, what could serve them the best? So these are checkpoints that are so crucial in creating offers that will attract students, grow your tribe, but also make you happy. Because that's what we have a business, right? It's part of who we are, and it's part of sharing our gifts with the world. And we have to make sure that we're checking off these things as we go, so that we know it's in alignment.
Exactly. And speaking of business, I mean, it's a tough one, but we want to think about the financials. So when you look at your offerings and you look at your ideal students, you're like, yes, these really go together. You also want to take a look at, how is this going to support you? What's the profit? How is this going to nurture you and help you pay the bills, put food on the table? And if it's, if you're offering a bunch of free workshops that are totally in alignment with your purpose and your students, well, that's not necessarily going to fill your cup. So you want to take a look at, how are you going to nurture yourself on a financial level as well.
So that's another checkpoint, right? The financial goals that you have in your life and in your business. Because we all know that if we're offering a lot of free things, we may just have a hobby, which is fine, but does that support your life? Can you live out of that? Can you pay your bills? Because that stress of not being able to pay our bills, we all know how bad that is for ourselves, for our self-esteem, for our family. So it's important that we have that as another checkpoint of, how is this going to support the business? Is this offering that I'm trying to offer, let's say a chakra series or a beginner series, is this going to bring in or help the financial goals that I have for the year in 2017? So that's your third checkpoint right there, of knowing if that supports your business in general, right?
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
And then we were talking about diversifying. Yeah. So that's part of the homework today in this challenge, is to diversify your offerings. Because as yoga teachers, you have to do more than usually one type of thing. You can't just teach in studios. It's really hard to make a living that way. So most yoga teachers do a variety of things. Studio classes, private classes, retreats, workshops.
Events.
And so when you think about all of that, it's a good idea to go back to your why and make sure that all of your offerings fit into that your why is really the red thread, and that you're not just creating a bunch of random offerings that don't really go together.
And a good point of how you can kind of go about you creating your offerings, and this is the opportunity to do it right before you start your year, is mapping them out and making sure that there is some intention behind them, and that they build upon each other. This is where you really grow your tribe, and offer things that your students really want. Because when you have a red thread or a theme or something that resonates with your students, you can offer different things to them, and they will sign up for all these different things. So if it's a retreat with a certain theme, and then you build a workshop out of that, or vice versa, or you have a class package that has a certain connect within theme, or whatever it is that you want to offer your students, that there's always this theme that goes about, which is what connects back to who you are, and as a teacher, what you have to offer the world. So it all goes back to who you are and what you want.
And it also is a way for you to continue building relationships with your students on an ongoing basis. Because if they come to your retreats, and let's say they want to come to a retreat once a year, and then you don't have another offering that really speaks to them, well, then maybe you're losing out on having that relationship throughout the year. So if you have multiple different offerings for these students to stay connected with you and stay connected to the theme of your retreats and your classes, it'll be a way for you to continue to grow your tribe, to build relationship, long lasting.
And that's something that Renee and I talk about a lot with our students and in our Facebook group. We really talk about how to diversify and how important it is to like bring in different things. Specifically in our case, we talk about retreats because that's what we've done that has worked really well. But it's something you can incorporate in your yoga business to really help you grow your tribe, grow your business, and add in those financial goals that you need to support your lifestyle to really be happy and have a healthy business, because it's all about sustainable and healthy business. So
we want you to thrive. I mean, really, that's our motto.
That's our
is
motto.
Travel, teach, and thrive. So more than sustain, thrive.
More than sustain. So think about different offerings. In our case, we talk a lot about retreats, and we'll talk about that in our last day of the challenge. But think about how those fit into your business and how you can incorporate new ones without getting scattered. So it's not about doing too many things and trying too many things and then getting overwhelmed. It's about incorporating maybe one or two or three. Having in our workbook, we have 5 different options at the end of the workbook where you can focus on 5 different offerings, and you can go from studio classes to incorporating maybe 2 retreats a year, and then having 3 workshops, and just mapping those out so that you have a clear idea of what it is that you're going to do, and then you can, for each offer, kind of plan out how you want to promote that, how you want to go about who your ideal client is for each of those offers. So there's different ways to go about it, but I feel like if you start with the big picture, then you can kind of get to the smaller little planning processes for each of these offerings,
and make sure there's a feeling of connection, of integration, because really when you do that, your students will be drawn to that feeling of moving from one event, one offering to the next, and it'll feel much better to you too, because it gets a little bit scattered like you were saying, to try to keep
track of all
10 different offerings that are very, very different. Like, have some sort of red thread, which is your why, and which is your mission for the year.
So make it fluid, make it flexible, make it feel right, and
make it fun.
Make
all
it
the
fun.
F's.
And that is the opportunity you have when you start the planning process now. So we want to applaud you for being here. We want to applaud you for doing this challenge, for having the intention to really sit down, make some time, and plan for an amazing year ahead, right? Because I know that we're all busy. Like we said in the beginning, it's not easy to jot down or to schedule out some time to do this right now in December. But you guys are here and you're doing it, and we want to really applaud you for it, right? Because we know that whatever you're going to do now, you're going to be able to cultivate that later. So, or you sow that later, really, rather.
And bring that energy to your students.
Right, exactly.
They'll feed off of it too.
I know that, and I hope for you that this challenge will really bring in some amazing new ideas into your business, especially when it comes to offerings, which is what we're talking about today. And let us know if you have any questions. We are happy
or revelations
or intentions that come up for you. And we are so excited to continue this challenge with you tomorrow, day 4, and we'll see you then.
And if you aren't in the challenge and you just watched this video, you can click on the link below and join us.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.